So I've literally just finished watching Thor Love and Thunder, and I have thoughts. I know a lot of the misgivings, and I agree with some of them, and I wanted to get them out there. So once again, this was directed by Taika Waititi, who wrote it alongside Jennifer Kaytin Robinson, of course being based upon the Marvel characters. This also features his voice as Korg, as well as the physical appearances of people like Chris Hemsworth, Natalie Portman, Christian Bale, Russell Crowe, Sam Neill, Matt Damon, Liam Hemsworth. There's a lot of Hemsworths in this, actually. And I want to talk about the good first. I'll load up with the good. So, Christian Bale, you could put him in any role and he will do the best that he can with it. Even if it's terrible, he will do his best, and his performance... I don't think I've ever seen anything where I've been like, what is he doing? I've never hated his performance as far as I can recall. And it's fine here. I mean, there are moments where I'm fairly sure his accent changes slightly throughout the film. It starts off, I'm sure, slightly more Americanized, but by the end it's a lot more like his actual accent, but I don't know if that's just my ears or something. But everyone in this is great. Once we let Chris Hemsworth be funny, it works. And he plays to his strengths here. I think everyone did a good job with their roles, and a lot of them are coming back, so they understand the characters. Even if it's after a break, they understand the characters, they know what to do, and Taika Waititi is a good director. He gets good performances out of actors, clearly. I will not fault that. But there is one actor whose accent I do have an issue with. I'm fairly sure actual Greek people speaking English do not sound like Russell Crowe in this film as Zeus. And okay, you could be like, well, he's meant to be ancient Greek, maybe it was slightly different. Maybe, but I still think it was far too caricature-esque, I guess, of an accent. The big counterpoint to anyone saying, go with it, he's meant to be an ancient Greek god. Thor is a Nordic god. His background, if you will, in myth is Scandinavian. He does not speak with an accent from any part of that part of the world. He sounds a bit more like a kind of Shakespearean over-the-top, flowery language, but he does not have a Nordic accent, so there is no need for Russell Crowe to have this terrible Greek accent. But still, the performance itself was fine, and the stinger at the end. It's the MCU, of course the stinger's at the end. And it was nice to see the return of some people, throughout the film. But all these performances did not get rid of the issues. One of the biggest problems is that this is very much a Taika Waititi MCU film. Now, I did say that this is technically a problem. It's not to say it was bad. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it. I laughed out loud a couple of moments. Thor Ragnarok was a breath of fresh air because it was a change in, firstly, how Thor was, because the Dark World really took it very heavy and everything like that. So it was nice to bring some fun to it while still having heavy stuff. But that's been the tone almost since then. And it's getting a bit stale. The jokes that were kind of funny at the start don't always get the same response. That goes for any joke. They don't get the same response if you keep doing it. The goat screaming at the start was like, oh yeah, I remember that meme from ages ago. But every single time the goats were on screen, they were screaming. And by the end of it, I was just like, shut the heck up. I do not need to hear the screaming goats anymore. It wasn't funny anymore. And like I say, we know this tone, we're used to it now, so this is just the default. We need now something else different. We need another breath of fresh air to really sort of revitalise it all. And I don't know if that's going to come. I really don't. I'm not holding out much hope for it. One of the biggest issues, and I said this in the Ms. Marvel, the small screen stuff, the streaming series, they are doing a lot more with the material. They're taking it in different directions. They're making it very much about people, not spectacle. And I love that. I haven't seen She-Hulk yet because I wanted to make sure I got everything in order in case there were any references. There probably wouldn't be to this, but I was playing it safe. So once I come down to do a video of that, I'm probably going to have the same reaction. I wouldn't be surprised. But the films, and yes, they've got to entice people into cinemas, so you want the spectacle. I get it. But that's all it is now. It's the spectacle. And if you've been there for so long, you've followed this for so long that you even have the t-shirt from the 10 years of Marvel, not worn on purpose, it just happened to be the t-shirt I put on today. Like, we're now, I don't know if it's a sunk cost fallacy thing, but we're now so entrenched that we can't just stop. Especially because I am enjoying the small scale stuff, and it is going to link it. So I have to keep watching the stuff that's more disappointing, which unfortunately is the bigger production. I don't understand how this is meant to make sense at all. It doesn't to me. But that's it, we got the I mean, it wasn't quite same versus same, it wasn't exactly that, but it was pretty damn close. And I'm bored of it. Thor will return, it said at the end, but unless it's something different, I'm just going to watch it out of duty. And yeah, for some good performances and occasional moments of brilliant humour, I have no doubt. But yeah, the overall thoughts on this film were, it exists, and it was 2 hours that I didn't feel dragged on. It was well paced, and I generally enjoyed it. It's just, give me something new, give me something different, revitalise everything. But I will end on one more high, because I always like to do that. And that is the introduction of All Black, the Necrosword. Comic book enthusiasts, please correct me on this if it's completely wrong. But it's effectively the first symbiote. And whilst it was seemingly destroyed in the film, it doesn't mean that what I'm saying doesn't matter. Because yes, we had this sort of crossover through Spider-Man, and there was a little bit left, but that was a symbiote from a different thing. It doesn't quite matter in the same way to me, because you could just go, well, nobody really reacted to that little sting, and we're just going to pretend it doesn't exist. This is evidence of, well, if they are true to the comics, Null's existence, and therefore, yes, the existence of symbiotes properly in the main MCU timeline. And that on its own almost justifies the existence of the film. If they are going to take that promise through including All Black, then I'm more excited than I would have been before. Now, because the whole symbiote stuff is kind of very strongly tied into Spider-Man, they may have to do very creative things to make it work the way they would like to, and still being truthful to what came before. So I'll wait with cautious optimism, but we have something interesting introduced here, like the fact that introducing the multiverse, it's given us ideas that we can start to work with, and the real fruit of those kind of things is probably a long time coming. I mean, we're not getting stuff like Secret Invasion until well after the Skrulls were introduced, etc. So they are good at this. They sow the seeds, see how people react, then pick it up and make it work. So, basically, Thor: Love and Thunder, on its own, meh, but with the promise that it gives us for the future, you've got my attention, Feige. Bring it on. So thank you very much for letting me express my disappointment, but also my cautious optimism. And as always, until next time, take care.